Theseus and the Minotaur and other Greek myths. Theseus and the Minotaur and Orpheus and Eurydice and Apollo and Daphne. Geraldine McCaughrean, illustrated by Tony Ross. Theseus and the Minotaur. There used to be a great many kings in the world, because every city and island called itself a kingdom. But one king and one island struck fear into all the rest. King Minos of Crete so terrified his neighbors that they paid him tributes every year to be left in peace. It was King Minos who built a palace with a cellar like a maze. It was King Minos who kept a monster called the Minotaur in this famous labyrinth and fed it on human flesh. Why do we send tributes to Crete every year? Prince Theseus asked his father, the king of Athens. To keep King Minos from sinking our ships or making war on us, said King Aegeus, though he did not like to talk about it. And what do we send? 7 men and 7 women, said the king. As slaves? Not as slaves, said the king reluctantly. To feed the Minotaur. How revolting! Never again! Theseus vowed. This year I'll go as one of the 14, and kill this Minotaur. Nothing the king could say would change his mind. As the tribute ship set sail, the old man called from the dockside, "Good luck, son. I shall keep watch on the cliff top every day. If you succeed, raise a new white sail. If you fail, raise this black one." "I shall succeed," called Theseus. King Minos laughed to see the prisoners arrive from Athens. "Who'll be first into the Minotaur's den?" he asked. "I shall," said Theseus, stepping forward. "I, Prince Theseus of Athens, claim that honor." "You boasting young puppy," snarled Minos. "My Minotaur will make short work of you. Guards! Put the prince into the labyrinth." Behind the throne, the king's plain little daughter, Ariadne, sat listening. She was ashamed of her father's cruelty and hated to see how he fed the horrible beast in the basement. She was still more unhappy when she saw brave and handsome Theseus dragged away to feed the monster. Down went Theseus into the dark, but he paused, not knowing which way to go. The guards marched away. "Prince Theseus!" It was Ariadne. "Here. Take this." She dropped down to him a ball of string. "Even if you can kill the Minotaur, you won't ever find your way back to the entrance unless you use this." "Excellent," exclaimed Theseus. "I could marry a girl as clever as you." Then he tied one end to the entrance and went off, unwinding the string as he went, forgetting everything but the Minotaur. But Ariadne did not forget. Theseus felt his way in the dark. It was true, without the string he would soon have been hopelessly lost in the maze of winding corridors. Suddenly, his fingers brushed warm, wiry hair, then the bony curve of a horn. The Minotaur bellowed in his ear and flung him through the darkness. It stamped on him with sharp hoofs. The string was knocked out of his hand. They fought in utter darkness. The monster, half man, half bull, crushed him between hairy arms and lashed him with its tail. But Theseus took hold of the horns and twisted them first one way, then the other. He kicked and butted and struggled, and at last the beast gave a gurgling gasp and fell dead. Filled with panic, the prince scrabbled around for the ball of string. There! No, that was the Minotaur's ear. There! Yes! Now he had only to wind it in and so retrace his steps. At the door of the labyrinth, Ariadne stood waiting. "You're alive! You escaped," she cried, and she took him by the hand and hurried him away. They freed the other 13 prisoners, then ran to the harbor. "You must take me with you, or my father will kill me too," said the princess. "Of course! Come aboard," said Theseus, raising the old black sail with 2 pulls of his strong arms. The sail filled, and they were at sea before anyone knew they had escaped. Theseus sat on deck in the sunshine and thought about what he had done. He was proud. His father would be proud, too. I must change this sail for a white one, he was thinking. Just then, Ariadne came and sat at his feet, gazing up at him. How wonderful, she sighed. To be free of my wicked father and to be married to a brave prince. Married? Said Theseus, turning rather pale. He suddenly realized that just because Ariadne had saved his life, she expected to marry him. He studied her face. That nose was very big. And those eyebrows were very thick. He said. How wonderful. On the way home, the ship put in at an island for supplies. Theseus sent Ariadne ashore to buy wine and bread. While she was gone, he set sail and hurried away, breathing a sigh of relief. When I marry, he thought, it will be to a beautiful queen or a goddess. He was in such a hurry to get away that he quite forgot to change the black sail for a white one. King Aegeus, watching day after day from the cliff below Athens, saw the ship as it hove into view. He saw the black sail full of wind. And in that moment, he believed that his son Theseus had been killed and eaten by the Minotaur. He threw himself off the high white cliff into the water below. And ever afterwards the sea was called the Aegean Sea, after the father of that ungrateful hero, Theseus. Orpheus and Eurydice. There were once a man and wife so much in love that they wanted nothing but each other. Her name was Eurydice and his was Orpheus. Orpheus was a musician. Oh, and what a musician! He played a lyre and he sang such songs that the grass at his feet curled with pleasure. Snarling wild animals purred and waved their tails. The trees swayed towards him, tilting their leaves like ears. Then one day a snake stung Eurydice. She gave a cry of pain and fell to her knees. Orpheus caught her in his arms. Eurydice! What's the matter? He cried. But she could not answer. She was dead. Orpheus was left holding her body, but her soul slipped out of his grasp and sank into the dry, cracked ground down into the underworld. Then Orpheus stopped singing and laid down his lyre. There is no life without Eurydice, he said. I must fetch her back. His friends gasped with horror at such an idea. But Orpheus turned his back on them and traveled down, through the valleys, pits and tunnels of the world, to the shores of the river Styx. At the river bank Orpheus called out, Ferryman! Ferryman! Come and row me over, for my wife has come to the underworld too early, and I must fetch her back home. There was a splash of oars and a black boat appeared out of the mists. Young man, are you mad? No one but the dead may cross this river and enter the underworld. Even if I did row you over, you couldn't get past Cerberus who guards the gate. I must, said Orpheus, and the ferryman was so struck by the grief in the young man's face that he let him step aboard. As the boat glided across the river, a dark shape loomed up, then a terrible barking split the air. It was Cerberus, the three-headed guard dog. Orpheus took his lyre onto his lap and began to play. He played a song without words, and the ferryman stopped splashing